Usually when you apply for something like a job or a mortgage or even just a spot in a local neighborhood organization, you just hand over a piece of paper.
Right, it's a transaction.
Yeah, exactly. It's got your credentials on it. You meet the criteria, you get the thing.
It is an exchange of verifiable data. And, the process is binary, which is, in a way, very comforting.
Right.
You know exactly where you stand based on objective metrics. I mean, your credit score is just a number. Your degree is a physical document.
But then you encounter a community application that doesn't ask for your work history or, your credit score.
Right. It asks for something entirely different,
Yeah. It asks if you are objectively a perfect human being.
which completely changes the game.
It really does. Suddenly, that familiar transaction becomes something completely different. So for you listening today, welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission today is to unpack a highly specific, deeply fascinating, and honestly, heavily contradictory document from March 2, 2008. It was written by an author named Zhu Feng, and it basically operates as a blueprint for joining a community called Lifechanyuan.
And this document, which connects to these broader concepts mentioned in the text, like the new oasis for life and the Lifechanyuan international family, it is just a masterclass in community-building rhetoric.
Oh, absolutely.
It outlines the exact requirements, the behaviors, and the mindset needed to join. So what we are really looking at here is a roadmap for total psychological reconstruction.
Right.
It's balancing this sweeping promise of a utopian ideal with incredibly strict, just unyielding boundaries.
And the way this text frames its ultimate goal is just breathtaking in its scale.
It really is.
It claims the objective is to realize the supreme ideal of human beings, to enter into the era of Lifechanyuan.
Right.
And the people who make it into this era, they're called Chanyuan Celestials. They're literally described as the residents of the future kingdom of heaven.
Which is quite the title.
Yeah, no pressure, right. And the author, Zhu Feng, starts off by claiming that anyone who wants to become a celestial is very much welcome, they're desired, and they will be warmly embraced.
Right. It's that egalitarian framing.
Exactly. It paints this picture of the ultimate open-door policy, like the most welcoming place on earth.
And that framing is crucial for the initial hook. But, the author immediately implements a severe filter in the very next sentence.
Right.
The text states, and I quote, "However, Lifechanyuan selects only the gems, not the pebbles from among people, and accepts only the livings, not the dead."
Okay, I have to stop you there.
Go ahead.
Because this sounds way less like a utopian society and more like like a wildly exclusive VIP club.
It really does.
Right. The author claims they desperately want to embrace everyone, but then they immediately set up this impossible cosmic bouncer at the door.
Yes, the gem versus pebble filter.
And the definition of a gem is intense. A Chanyuan celestial is defined as the greatest, most civilized, intelligent, brave, kind, lovely, innocent, and perfect person among human beings.
It is a massive list of superlatives.
Like, how can someone possess the intelligence and bravery of a worldly veteran while also being completely innocent and perfect?
Well, they cannot. Not in any practical sense.
Right.
But let's look at the psychology of why this juxtaposition is deployed. Because by claiming to want everyone, the community appears open,
Sure.
But by immediately introducing that gem versus pebble dichotomy, the text flatters anyone who continues reading.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, if you are captivated by this document, the implicit message is that you are not just an average applicant.
It's one of the gems.
Exactly. You are an exceptional living gem. You are not a pebble. And this mechanism, it validates the reader's ego right before the document begins the really arduous process of dismantling it.
That is wild.
High-demand groups frequently use this tactic. They attract individuals who might feel alienated by mainstream society, but who possess this deep-seated belief in their own hidden exceptionalism.
So it essentially weaponizes the applicant's own ego against them. Like, congratulations, you are the seed of celestial beings.
Yes, precisely.
But you can't just declare yourself a gem based on a feeling, right? Because the document actually provides an 8-point checklist of prerequisites.
It does.
If you want to be a Chanyuan Celestial, you have to possess these 8 characteristics just to be eligible to apply.
Okay. The baseline requirement.
Yeah. And I won't read the whole list, but it includes being civilized, kind, wise, diligent, and having great ideals.
Yes.
But my absolute favorite is number 8. It says you must be a person who loves to bring delighted, joyful, free, and happy life to others.
Which sounds wonderful on the surface.
I mean, yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
But if you really think about it, how do you officially demonstrate that? Like, how do you put loves to bring delighted and joyful life to others on a resume?
You can't. And notice the stark difference between these requirements and the worldly qualifications we discussed earlier.
With the credit scores.
Exactly. You cannot provide a transcript for being kind, or a bank statement for bringing joyful life to others.
No, you definitely can't.
These prerequisites are entirely subjective and purely moralistic.
Which feels incredibly dangerous from a structural standpoint.
How so?
Well, if the baseline requirements for entry are entirely subjective, doesn't that just create a recipe for institutional gaslighting?
Oh, absolutely.
Because whoever sits on the admission committee or whoever leads the community, they have absolute power to define what kind or wise means on any given day.
And that is precisely the architectural brilliance of subjective filtering.
Brilliant, but terrifying.
Right, because in the outside world, if you meet the objective criteria for a mortgage and you were denied, you have grounds to challenge the institution.
But you have the paperwork.
Exactly. But in this framework, the filter is looking for a specific psychological attitude, overwhelming compliance and positivity. So by making the entry requirements based on being civilized and kind, the community establishes a foundation where any future conflict can be blamed entirely on the individual.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, if you argue or complain later on, the leadership can simply point back to the application and suggest you're never actually kind or wise to begin with.
So the fault lies in your flawed nature, not the group's structure.
Exactly.
Like, you convinced them you were a gem, but your complaining proves you were actually just a pebble.
That's exactly how it functions.
Okay, so let's say you pass this subjective test. You are officially in. But simply possessing those baseline traits isn't enough.
Right. No, not at all.
Because the document states that a candidate must understand the tactics, or I think it calls it the artistic way to actually integrate into the community.
Yes, the integration phase.
So how does this group process newcomers? What is the actual tactic?
Well, the integration phase outlined here relies heavily on physical and psychological submission. A newcomer must enter what the text calls the narrow gate of life. And they do this by keeping their head lowered. They are explicitly told not to show off.
The text is fascinatingly rigid here. It demands that you must understand the values of Lifechanyuan first before you are allowed to explicate your own opinions.
Right. You are basically silenced until you assimilate.
Exactly. And when you are eventually permitted to speak, you are only allowed to focus on the strengths of others.
Yes, using praise and encouraging language.
Right. You have to use appreciative language.
Yeah.
No fussing,
Yeah.
no arguing. You are essentially stripped of your critical faculty.
This is a complete behavioral reset.
But then, and this is the part that really got me, right in the middle of this strict, head-lowered submission, Shuifeng introduces a wildly unexpected requirement.
Mandatory play.
Mandatory play. The text dictates that a celestial must learn play and entertainment. It literally states, if you can't play, you can't be a Chanyuan celestial.
It is a very blunt ultimatum.
I am really struggling to square this circle. You know, you're telling people to bow their heads, humble themselves, never argue, fundamentally silence their critical voices. But they are also required, as a condition of their salvation, to play tag or whatever games are happening.
Right.
Isn't forced play just a form of regression? Like, it sounds like they are intentionally infantilizing adults, so they stopped asking hard questions.
The concept of infantilization is a very valid critique. But let's delve into the neurology and, really, the evolutionary psychology of adult play to understand why this is so remarkably effective.
Okay, I'm all ears.
When human adults engage in physical or imaginative play, their rigid psychological defenses drop.
Because you have to be silly, right?
Exactly. Play requires vulnerability, and doing so triggers the release of oxytocin and endorphins.
Oh, wow. The bonding chemicals?
Yes, chemicals that facilitate rapid primal bonding. So in the context of a high-control community, mandatory play accelerates assimilation.
That makes total sense.
You cannot maintain a defensive, skeptical posture while you are genuinely laughing or participating in a group game.
That paints a vivid picture. I mean, it is nearly impossible to plot a rebellion or really critique the leadership while you are fundamentally required to organize a talent show with your peers.
Right, and that ties directly back to the reconstruction of the ego.
How so?
Well, you begin submissive and observant. You adopt the group's values. And you prove you aren't a threat by constantly praising others and participating in play.
So you're basically rewiring yourself.
Yes, you are remaking your identity to fit the precise shape of the community. And the text notes that only after you have gotten along well with others, then and only then, are you permitted to reveal your talents.
Right. That is the final step of integration. The document states that after successfully integrating, you must stand up straightly, hold the head up, and be a man of indomitable spirit.
Which sounds incredibly empowering, right?
Yeah, it does. You go from bowing your head in submission at the narrow gate to standing tall with an indomitable spirit. But, I mean, the catch is pretty obvious here.
It is.
You are only allowed to have an indomitable spirit once your spirit has been entirely overwritten by the community's ideology.
Exactly.
You are standing tall, sure, but you are standing tall for Lifechanyuan. You're using your strength to defend the very system that forced you to bow in the first place.
You have identified the absolute core mechanism of ideological conversion here.
It's just so thorough.
It is. The energy that might have once been used for personal ambition or rebellion has been successfully captured, and then it's redirected toward the group's survival.
So we have a community of people who have dropped their defenses, bonded through play, and redirected their ambition.
Yes.
But even with perfect filtered gems who are playing together, human nature is messy. Egos will eventually clash.
Inevitably.
So how does Sufeng protect this harmonious environment from that inevitable friction? Well, he provides a list of 8 don'ts.
Ah, yes. The 8 don'ts.
It's basically a strict catalog of what a celestial must never do.
The previous rules we discussed, those govern internal integration. But the 8 don'ts serve to violently sever the community from the friction of the outside world.
It really creates an absolute social bubble.
Complete insulation.
Looking at this list, it basically outlaws the vast majority of human interaction.
Pretty much.
No political ambitions, no conspiring into organizations, no attempting to outmatch other celestials, no gossip,
Right.
no attacking any government, political party, religion, or other organizations, no using big, empty, or false words, no attempting to highlight yourself.
And you are explicitly forbidden from giving lessons to others. You can only manage yourself.
That is just, it's a lot.
Let's analyze the prohibition on gossip for a second, because sociologically, it is one of the most powerful tools for maintaining control.
Wait, really? Gossip?
Yes. Evolutionarily, gossip serves a vital function in human communities.
I always just thought of it as a bad habit.
It's much more than that. It is an informal whisper network that warns individuals about bad actors or abuses of power.
Oh, like, hey, watch out for that guy.
Exactly. It is how informal hierarchies form and how trust is built outside of official channels.
But wait, doesn't banning it completely create a dangerous psychological pressure cooker?
How do you mean?
Well, human beings are wired to vent,
Right.
to complain, and to process their frustrations with their peers.
Yeah.
So if you ban any form of side conversation or gossip,
Right.
aren't you just guaranteeing that the community will eventually snap under the weight of its own suppressed emotions?
In an uncontrolled environment, yes, the pressure cooker would absolutely explode.
Right.
But Lifechanyuan relies on what we can call radical neutrality to relieve that pressure.
Radical neutrality.
By outlawing gossip, all information and dispute resolution must flow upward through official community channels. It can't flow horizontally among peers.
Oh, wow. So you can't build a coalition.
Exactly. You cannot form a faction if you cannot whisper to your neighbor.
That is deeply controlling.
It is. And look at the external bans. No attacking outside governments or rival religions.
Which removes any external pressure as well. They aren't trying to change the world outside their walls.
Right. They completely insulate themselves from external retaliation. They pose no threat to the state or to other institutions because their ideology demands they simply refuse to engage.
So they are entirely inward looking.
Entirely. And internally, the rule about not giving lessons is quietly brilliant.
Do not give others lessons, but well manage yourself.
Yes. It prevents any charismatic member from setting themselves up as a splinter guru.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Everyone is kept perfectly equal under the ideology itself, neutralizing internal division before it can even spark.
It is a perfectly sealed vacuum. I mean, no politics, no religious debate, no complaining about management, no gossiping, and no lecturing your peers.
A completely controlled environment.
But living inside this sealed vacuum leads directly to the core philosophical trap of the entire text.
Right, the grand contradiction.
Yeah, it's this massive contradiction presented to the applicant as the ultimate test of their worth.
Because every utopian ideal eventually hits a philosophical wall.
What do you mean?
Well, it hits a wall when it tries to balance the suppression of the worldly ego with the need for individuals to actually contribute something of value to the group.
Ah, right. Because Sui Feng presents this as a paradox that the celestial must simply remember and solve.
Yes.
The text literally says, only when you abandon yourself totally, you can fulfill yourself ultimately. If you are eager to fulfill yourself, you will lose yourself ultimately.
Which sounds like classic Eastern mysticism.
Yeah, exactly. The death of the ego leading to enlightenment. But the text immediately complicates it.
It does.
Because right after demanding total self-abandonment, it adds, at the same time, you should remember to unfold yourself timely and don't make yourself expired.
And that requirement to unfold timely means you cannot simply be a passive meditative drone. The community accepted you because you are a gem with specific talents and brilliance. So you are required to contribute those talents before your time runs out.
Think about the absolute psychological torture of that instruction.
It's profound.
It is literally like being ordered to walk a tightrope over a canyon while remaining completely invisible.
That's a great way to put it.
You are commanded to blossom, to share your incredible talents with the community to unfold. But if you get caught taking pride in those talents,
Then you fail.
right, if you're perceived as highlighting yourself or trying to outmatch the celestial next to you, you have violated the core tenet of the group.
And the text even admits this is an insane ask.
It does. It notes you cannot highlight yourself, but to unfold yourself timely, this seems to be a contradiction.
The phrase seems to be is doing an incredible amount of heavy lifting there.
Seriously. So how does the author suggest a celestial solve this impossible double bind?
Well, what does the text say?
The text offers no structural support.
Mm.
It simply says it depends mostly on your artistic talent or your spiritual nature to deal with this contradiction.
And that right there is where the architecture of this document truly reveals itself.
It really is.
It is the ultimate accountability dodge.
An accountability dodge.
Think about it. By framing the ultimate success or failure of a member as a paradox that can only be solved by their own internal spiritual nature or their artistic talent, the ideology completely insulates itself from critique.
Oh my gosh. So if you join this community, cut ties with the outside world, lower your head, engage in mandatory play, stop gossiping,
Yes.
and then you find yourself suffering severe anxiety because you can't figure out how to be a brilliant contributing genius without ever taking credit for it.
A group bears zero responsibility.
Group bears zero responsibility.
Exactly. The rules are not broken. The ideology is not flawed. The leadership did not fail you.
It is simply a lack of your own artistic talent.
Yes. Your spiritual nature was simply not refined enough to handle the celestial paradox.
That is just, it's brutal.
It places the absolute burden of a structurally unwinnable psychological game entirely on the shoulders of the individual.
You failed the tightrope walk because deep down you were a pebble all along.
Precisely. And this brings profound clarity to the author's concluding thought on the matter.
Right.
The document states, to be a Chanyuan celestial is both the easiest and hardest thing.
It is the easiest thing because the instructions are completely laid out for you.
Yes.
You don't have to navigate the messy, chaotic decisions of the outside world. You just have to submit, play, and exist inside the bubble.
But it is the hardest thing because it demands the total and complete sacrifice of your internal self-worth. It offers you back only what the community allows you to feel.
This 2008 document goes so far beyond a simple list of rules or like an eccentric membership application.
It is a living, breathing mechanism.
Yeah. We have explored how it utilizes initial flattery to draw in seekers, enforces subjective moral checklists to establish baseline guilt.
It leverages the neurochemistry of adult play to dissolve defenses.
Right. And it aggressively dismantles informal power structures by banning gossip.
And finally, it shifts all structural blame onto the individual's spiritual inadequacy.
It really does put your average neighborhood association application into perspective, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
The sheer scale of psychological engineering required to get a group of human beings to voluntarily surrender their egos in exchange for the title of gem is staggering.
Truly staggering.
So as we wrap up our exploration of Lifechanyuan today, we want to leave you listening right now with a thought to explore on your own.
Because it is easy to look at a highly specific document from 2008 and view it as a bizarre artifact.
Right, something distant and entirely disconnected from our daily lives. But consider the environments you inhabit every day.
Yes.
Think about modern corporate culture, where companies demand that you bring your whole self to work, but silently enforce an expectation that your whole self is perfectly compliant, relentlessly positive, and deeply invested in mandatory team-building exercises.
Mandatory play.
Exactly. Or consider the social media algorithms we willingly engage with every single day.
That's a great comparison.
We curate this aesthetic, non-controversial, highly optimized version of ourselves. We are desperately walking the tightrope of trying to unfold our talents timely to gain followers, while terrified of stepping out of line and facing the digital consequences.
Are the dynamics of Zoe Feng's utopian filter really that foreign?
Or have we simply traded the title of Chenyuan Celestial for different, more modern metrics of perfectly engineered belonging?
It's a fascinating question.
It really is. Take a look at the applications you're filling out in your own life and ask yourself, what kind of submission are they truly asking for in return?